Hi there, I'm Mike Bills with Measurable Solutions, and welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about the cancellation blues, and I'm sure at some point in your life you've had those cancellation blues as a practice owner, whether it's right now today or it's been in the past, etc. I know it was really a problem that we had, and whenever I talk to private practice owners, it's always, and even practice directors, etc., it's always the biggest issue that seems to come up. Cancellations. Man, my schedule started out the day full, and before I knew it, there were 8 cancellations, etc. Well, I'm here to tell you that there really shouldn't be more than 8 cancellations in a week, and that really doesn't matter how many visits you have. A great example is, last week, my practice, we do about 450 visits. We had 7 cancellations. So you got to just have a process. You got to follow the process. Your staff's got to be on board, and you can control that. And really, the reason you don't want those cancellation blues is because not only does it affect your practice, but it's really affecting your outcomes. And think about it. The whole reason that we all got into this and became physical therapists was that we wanted to help people. And so we're bringing staff in, and they've come in for the same purpose too. All of your staff, your PT staff, ultimately want to help people, but you're going to all end up with the blues if you start your day out with 12 patients and you end your day with 7 patients on your schedule. You're going to kind of get bored. It doesn't really challenge you, etc. So I challenge you to really take a look at that and get that under control. And so let's quickly define what a cancellation is. A cancellation is a patient who was on the schedule today and didn't come in today. It's that simple. They could have called you up and given you any excuse they had. My car broke down, I fell down the stairs, whatever it might be, but they didn't come in today and they were on the schedule. Because that's going to give you the blues. It's going to give you the blues financially, and it's going to give you the blues because it kind of pulls you off purpose. You're not really able to help people anymore, which is what you got into this for. So how are you going to fix this, right? Really simple. Something that took me a long time to really kind of learn this and get this under control. But like I told you, we average a cancellation rate of 2.5% to 3% max as we go through the entire year, and that's as we grow, and that's as we add more staff, etc. So you can do this. You just gotta get a plan in place, and you got to do it, right? So you got to be able to sell the value of therapy, right? And that's really everybody's job. That's your job as the owner. It's the front desk person that answers the phone. It's all of your clinicians, all of your techs, etc. And you got to sell the value of what you're doing as a therapist. We're here to help you. We want you to get better. We know that if you come in, you're going to get better. Here's an interesting statistic for you. If you come to therapy as prescribed, 92% of the time you will get better. Whether you have arthritis, whether you had surgery, whatever it might be, your condition is going to be improved if you come to therapy. 92% of the time you're going to get better. But here's what happens. If you miss one visit in that plan of care, whatever that length of that plan of care is, that 92% ends up at 67%. So you got to be able to sell the value, and your staff have to be able to sell the value of therapy. It's not a matter of you want the patient to come to therapy. The patient needs to come to therapy, and they need to understand that. And you do that through selling the value of what you do. The second thing you got to do is you got to have a cancellation policy. There's people out there, they need rules, and and when the rule's there, then they can follow it, right? And you're going to think in your head, oh, that's being too mean, it's being too, too forceful, etc. No, people need rules. They need to know what's expected of them so that they can follow it. And when you put that out there as an expectation of your patients, hey, I expect you're going to be here when you schedule an appointment. When you can't, I expect you to call. I expect you to reschedule for the same day. I expect you to make that call the day before if you're not going to be able to make it, etc. It allows you to stay out of the blues. It allows you to help somebody else. You get somebody else on your schedule. It allows you to get them rescheduled, and they know what's expected of them. They're going to follow that. And when they don't, then you've got this policy that allows you to fall back on, right? And then the third thing that you want to do is you want to be able to train your staff so that they can handle objections. I can't tell you how many times in the beginning I used to hear, a front desk person would answer the phone and, patient be canceling. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, no problem. We'll see you next week. And it used to make my blood boil, right? But that was really because I hadn't trained them how to handle it. Meanwhile, when I was the one answering the phone, I'd answer the phone and I'd be able to handle it. Hey, Joe, here's the value of really coming in today. Here's how about we get you in at 5 o'clock today instead of the 12 o'clock? And Joe would miraculously show up at 5 o'clock. He'd reschedule. But I hadn't trained my staff on how to handle those same objections. So you got to train your staff, right? So here's a real quick review, right? You got to be able to sell the value of what you're doing. Physical therapy is a commodity that you're selling. And remember, they're going home. They don't have a brand new TV to plug in or a brand new phone to play with, etc. But you got to make sure that your patients all understand the value. That's really key. The second thing you got to do is you got to have a cancellation policy in place. And it can be a simple agreement that says, I, Joe Smith, promise not to cancel my appointments without more than 20, and when I do, I'll give 24 hours notice and I'll always reschedule. It can be that simple. And then the last thing you got to do, and don't forget this piece, you've got to train your staff. train your staff so that they can handle things the same way you do. Allows you to keep your blood from boiling, keep your blood pressure down, be nice and healthy, but more importantly, you stay out of the blues. You can listen to country music or whatever else is, kind of music you like instead of listening to the cancellation blues. So I hope this helped you out. Get those 3 action steps in place, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Whiteboard Wednesday next week. Thanks. Take care.